Hi Capricorn, Sun, Moon and Rising, welcome to your reading. We will see how this May Scorpio lunar eclipse is going to impact you. We had a solar eclipse in the sign of Aries that took place on the 20th or the 19th of April, and I've already made zodiac specific readings for that. It will give you details on what's happening in the external world and how is that affecting your inner world, and this lunar eclipse talks about what's changing in your inner world that is then going to have an effect in your immediate surroundings and also your way of life and so on. Now, because it's in the sign of Scorpio, we immediately talk about releasing certain toxicities, habits, patterns, and just attachments that we have which are not benefiting us anymore. And especially with the South Node over there, we need to let go, let go, let go. We need to purge, surrender to the flow of things. Now, it is a time of the full moon, so the sun is in Taurus, meanwhile the moon is in Scorpio. Along with the sun, we have Mercury retrograde and also Uranus, and of course the North Node. Jupiter is later in the month going to move into Taurus as well, which will give a lot more clarity, some more, insights and aspects that we can take advantage of for future growth and prosperity as well. Okay, so there's a lot more clarity that will come around the mid of May. Especially after Mercury goes direct on the 15th. Now, it's very interesting, this particular eclipse cycle, because as soon as we had the solar eclipse, right the next day we had Mercury going retrograde, which means a lot of this is kind of internal. There's a lot of shifts going on. There is a sense of urgency that is building up and on. And it needs to be coming out. It needs to purge. There is a desire for transformation in a way that flourishes for our personal finances, our personal self-worth, our value system, our priorities, and also our place in the world, our identity, and so on. Okay, so very important stuff. Aries eclipse is another cardinal sign just like you, so the mode of operation is familiar to you, but perhaps it could have felt a little bit too fast, too frantic, too urgent perhaps. But the Taurus and Scorpio activation is going to stabilize things a little bit more because they are fixed signs and they like to keep things stable. And Taurus events that we're talking about here with all the planets over there, that is benefiting you because it's in a trine aspect to your zodiac. It's a fellow earth sign, so you're more familiar with this way of operating. Now, your ruler Saturn is in Pisces, and that is different from what it is accustomed to. It does not rule here. It rules your zodiac and also Aquarius. You might have been feeling a little bit reducing in structure, or rather obligations of sorts. So it gives you a little bit more freedom, but at the same time, Saturn is a planet of responsibility. So then it's asking, what responsibility do you take, or how do you take responsibility when you have a lot of freedom, right? Even freedom itself has an undertone of what you make of it is going to very heavily impact how you feel about that freedom and your free time as well, right? So very interesting stuff. Also has a very spiritual and creative undertone to it. Okay, let's see how this is playing out for you. We're going to do your oracle cards a little bit later. Let's do your tarot. We have the Empress coming through first. Hang on. Your cards fell, so I'm going to pick them up. Okay. So we have the Empress. Then we have the Knight of Pentacles. All right, very earthy already. Very nice. We have the Two of Pentacles as well. And we have the Hierophant, which corresponds to the Taurus zodiac. Everything is earthy right now, in a way. And we have the Three of Swords. Okay. This looks like healing of sorts, okay? A rebalancing, healing, finding stability, solid ground, fertility as well. resolving things that have been hurting you in the past, any sort of anguish you have going on right now, anything that you're worried about, that is coming to a form of stability. And it's not automatic, it's something that you are going through. You're finding the balance in yourself, you're researching. We have two books going on here. And honestly, whenever Mercury is going retrograde, or while it is retrograde, it's the optimum time to do your research, okay? Search again, look again, try to find again, don't give up. That's like a very wonderful way of utilizing this Mercury retro. And process your feelings, process your fears, think your thoughts, understand and observe your thoughts as well. I love all of this Pentacles energy because it's slow down and sit with it. Be mindful of where you are expending your energy. Okay, are you spending time with people who drain you a lot? Are you not giving yourself any time, right? We need to look at where we are using our resources, time, effort, priorities, and energy in general, okay? And also, where is that motivation coming from? Because sometimes we can be on the go, but we are doing that because we're trying to get away from something. We're trying to run away from a problem. And however fast we run, it just keeps following us. That's sort of something that a cardinal sign would struggle with. And it's important to understand the intention behind any work that you do. Again, you're an earth sign, so the foundation with which you ground something is going to matter a lot. And because you kind of embody the whole slow and steady wins the race type of dynamic, it is where do you dedicate your energy is going to be very important. And it's also ultra important to deal with the things that disturb the foundation in any way. It's not about rushing. It's not about who finishes first. It's about who finishes and stays there. Okay. The Empress is like the established ruler of the natural realm, right? She's the established ruler. The Hierophant as well is the established ruler of traditions, cultures, and growth, prosperity, legacies, and so on. And you, being another earth sign that symbolizes reputation, legacy, and what carries on after your lifetime, this is all about what's for the long run, okay? If you've had heartbreaks in the past, think back, rethink, research within yourself. Was that something for you? And the clarity over here that comes in is if it's not for you, then there's no need to hold on to it. It's time for it to let go. Same goes with some hopes and wishes, some things that just did not come to fruition, or there were other obstacles at that time, or a lack of resources, or perhaps the mindset was not right in that moment and it did not come to fruition, but you're still holding on to that failure, let's say. It's not really a failure, but in our minds, in our perspectives, it might look like a failure. It's time to look again at those things instead of trying to rectify for those things with further action. We need to look at it in the eye and understand, find compassion for the situation, for ourselves, okay? In that process, we have to acknowledge what we have been through and we have to feel it fully. That's what the Scorpio energy symbolizes. We can't run away from our shadows, fears, and insecurities. They're very much a part of us. And the more we try to hate it or separate ourselves from it, the more it will try to become known and come into the light. That's the nature of things in the shadow. It wants to be enlightened. It wants to be incorporated and accepted. Not in the same form that it is. It does not mean that please take in your destructive habits and become destructive yourself. That's not what I'm saying. It's destructive because it needs attention. It's like, a rebellious child is actually asking for love, right? It's sort of that dynamic. It's lashing out in a different direction. So look at those parts of you which have not been acknowledged or have been ignored for far too long or have been reactive in some way because of past failures or disappointments, I would rather say. And sit with those things because there were different elements in the past that did not allow for certain things to play out, and for good, because it also built so much character. You got a lot of other skills, and Now the conditioning is becoming more correct, let's say. You're finding more skills here. Also, a lot of support comes in when you have Taurus and energy activation, also with Virgo actually. But with Taurus energy, you're finding support in terms of your children, or your inner child is getting healed here. Certain hobbies, creative pursuits, your love life even, that could be a very supportive influence here. Doing things that bring you joy and fulfillment. It's important to savor the moment. I feel like you're slowing down and becoming very mindful of your elements in general. You're looking at the various moving pieces that make the greater whole, and that perspective itself releases past difficulties, traumas, disappointments, and so on. Related to finances or not, that's not really the point here. It's just that your inherent stability is becoming a lot more fulfilled, and you're unlocking yourself for greater prosperity to come. Okay, and that's honestly the point of all eclipses. Fate enters, okay, fate intervenes, and it's like, this ain't working. This is absolutely not working. You work really hard, you're very persevering, you're very loyal to just about anything that you want to be loyal to. But if something is blocking you and you've not yet noticed it, the eclipse will be like, we gotta fix that. You know, this is harshing our flow here. We don't need this element anymore. I keep hearing the quote, you know, nature does not hurry, it does not rush, it completes everything on time, because it's observing everything, it's allowing things to unfold naturally. We can't control every circumstance, and we just need to let everything flow in its own rhythm, and at some point it just becomes clear. So this moment here, this eclipse here, allows you that rebirth and this creative regeneration, basically. Okay, we have the crow, which says universal laws and truths are now being revealed. Use this energy to create your reality. Absolutely. When we have Empress here, you can create your reality. That kind of goes without saying, but I should have mentioned it anyway. It's just that natural flow of, you have the skills, you have the time, you have the energy, you're in alignment, your soul is saying yes, the universe is giving you direction. It's the coming together of all of these different components that, you know, might seem complex, but is very natural and simple when you really look at it. And you would be the only one who can understand this, because you're in that flow, right? Someone looking from the outside will be like, I don't know how you do this. I have no idea how you can persevere for so long, or how well you do your research. It's just so complex how you think about these things and so on. They can't understand it, but that's okay. That's not really their journey. It's yours. To you, it's pretty simple because it's very natural to you. You're unlocking that very, very natural side of you. The Hierophant is also getting guidance from above. You might be finding a tutor, a mentor, a guide of sorts, or you're connecting to your spiritual guides, and you're downloading some sort of information. You can be in a position to teach and guide as well, and that itself could be a very healing procedure. When you're contributing what you have learned so far, and you have so much expertise just in general, that, you know, you can, the way that you demonstrate your skills is very different compared to how other zodiacs might present it. So use those skills. It's very, very natural, and the universe has your back over here. We have the Pelican coming next. Choose to follow the path of forgiveness and raise your vibration. Yeah, letting go of gunk, basically, the things that we are holding on to becomes gunk over time, because nothing is meant to stay the same forever. Everything evolves, everything changes, right? And it changes to uphold a certain tradition or culture and, that sense of stability. When you say legacy, it does not mean that each and every member of your upcoming generation is going to be the same as you and your partner and your parents and so on. No, they will change. They will do different things, but somehow they will carry that base essence and signature that you have instilled within your traditions, right? So it's okay to let go of certain hopes, dreams, and aspirations if they've not worked out. Let go of certain friends or networks as well if it's not something authentic to you. The point is, everything will come to fruition as long as you are authentic about those things. Sometimes we even lie to ourselves. It's involuntary, and it becomes a subconscious method of dealing with situations. And that's what the Scorpio talks about, is bringing up those subconscious patterns. Just because we didn't see it before does not mean it was not there. Now that it's up in front of you, what do you do about that? What you are doing is finding ways to deal with it. Okay, you are naturally proactive, and this solar eclipse plus the Scorpio eclipse is making you even more proactive. It's giving you more direction about where you need to be more proactive at this moment, what needs to be healed right now, right here, in order to regain more, balance in your health, your finances, your career life, things you devote your attention to, and so on. And when we forgive and forget, it doesn't mean that we can allow those same problems back into our life. That does not happen. It just means that we have transcended that situation. We don't bother about it anymore. We're not bothered about it anymore. It's just not relevant to our lives anymore. Okay, so something that has not worked out, well, it didn't work out. Done. That's it. Something was not supposed to work out at that time. We were not ready, or the situation was not ready for whatever external situations there, or there might have been other interferences that did not allow for some things to come to fruition, but it redirected you very purposefully. We didn't recognize that purpose in the past, which led to this feeling of confusion or disappointment and questions about our own self and self-worth. But yes, like I said, this eclipse cycle here is bringing you a lot of clarity about those things. And we have Hummingbird, which says, release what you've been carrying and lighten up. New joy is on the way. Yeah, the purpose of it is to lighten up. Basically, we don't want to be heavy for this upcoming phase. Things are starting to move into the Aquarian side of things. You have Pluto in Aquarius as well. It will be here for 20 years. It's a long transit. Things will not be too drastic. But of course, whenever a planet is activating the Pluto transit, you will feel it a lot. Plus, it was there in your zodiac for the last couple of years, more than a decade. So you've learned a lot about this personal transformation and growth and dealing with things of the past and so on. But now that it's moving into Aquarius, which is an air sign as opposed to the earth sign, we're talking about lightening things up. We're talking about moving with the wind, talking about our thought process, the words that we say, the affirmations that we have inside our minds, and also to the network that we project to the outside world, our thoughts about humanity in general, the globe at large. It's in your second house, so it can relate to your worth as well, your esteem, your priorities, and also your financial realm. Right, there are so many of these interconnections that we need to work through. Sometimes it can be that we're putting ourselves as a stalemate. I know we don't have the Eight of Swords. It's not really talking about mental anguish, but somehow with the Three of Swords, I feel as though there are multiple things that are just clashing with each other, which they don't need. It's sort of intertwined, which they don't need to be, and you're working through all of those things. You're streamlining certain processes, you're gathering a lot of knowledge and expertise in certain things as well. The Knight of Pentacles says that you could be starting something, not really something new, but you're starting like a new phase of development, new creations, new projects could be starting as well. Really optimistic for any work opportunities you want, or second streams of income and so on. I would warn though with the Three of Swords that you might be dissatisfied with one source of income. It could be the one that you are doing at this time, or something else you might have to bring in might not be fitting in immediately. It needs some work or tweaking to make everything meld together. Okay, but you're in a very strong position to take authority and make that happen. We also have Loon, which says, pay attention to your dream time. Messages of guidance are drifting in. Okay, so this guidance that we're talking about with the Hierophant that comes in through your dreams, through your rest time, meditation, introspection. When you ask, you shall receive is something I hear. So the messages will come in when you ask. You have a tendency to take matters into your own hands, and that's very commendable. But whenever you feel stuck or feel difficult about a situation or have trouble finding the right resources for your healing or whatever the case is, ask for help. Not necessarily to people, you can ask to the spiritual world as well. Okay, people are still like spokespersons for divine guidance. They don't know it themselves, but something that someone says could really deeply resonate with you as well. So do as your intuition says, follow that natural rhythm. That's like the principal guideline that I'm getting here, and you will go through these motions automatically. Okay, we have the Sword coming through. That's all about cutting out everything that does not work anymore. There can be some decluttering you're doing in your space, in your environment. Even with the Empress, I keep looking at her, and also the Knight of Pentacles is like a farmer. Okay, so you gotta remove the weeds, for example. Just because it looks the same, it's just because it's green and it's growing with the other plants does not mean it's the same thing, right? So you're cutting out things that are unnecessary along the process that you're establishing, therefore regaining better balance. You're not spreading yourself too thin. You can focus more on things that you enjoy as well. You can savor the moment and so on. Some of you could get into cooking. Yeah, these two books look like cookbooks. You could be writing some, or you could be inventing your own recipes, getting creative with those things, and you discover like a new hobby here as well. And some of you, like, you don't like cooking, but now all of a sudden you have a taste for it. And previously some things have not worked out, but now you kind of enjoying the whole process and flow. You find a rhythm that works for you, basically. Okay, so you're kind of letting go of that old belief system that cooking is not very fun, it's tedious, and I'd rather eat from outside, or things like that. That I know that's a very small example. It could be that, though. I mean, it is nourishment. We do need food, right? It is it's an important element of our lives, right? So I'm not going to say that that's a very small example. It does have very big repercussions, but yes, take it as it resonates. And we have the Bardo. Okay, this one has been coming up for so many zodiacs. Wow. Not surprised though. I mean, this talks about the underworld, kind of. Actually, it talks about the spirits that have passed on and them speaking to us. Not the underworld, yeah, that's a different card, sorry. But the ancestors or the other guides and mentors who have incarnated here, but they have passed on now, like, long lost relatives as well, our genealogy and so on, them trying to communicate with you. It can also be like things that have been dormant for a very long time, in your own life, that is also coming up to the surface for either reintegration or acceptance, further resolution of sorts. Okay, there are also insights that come in that give you more direction or more clarity on ongoing stresses, and give you a bigger picture of what the point is. Some of you can be discovering your purpose, for example, and you feel a lot more rooted in tradition, in security. You feel as though you're on the right path. That I think becomes very apparent to you. And of course, yes, work still needs to be done in bringing something to like tangible fruition with Taurus as well. Things don't just rush in. We need to put in the effort every day, but it's the little things that count. Okay, yes, it can be, I feel as though the maternal figure is going to be contacting you, it can be grandmother or grandfather. Doesn't it's not about the gender, it's who has been a maternal matriarch. matriarch, maternal figure, okay? Someone like that in your family background who has passed on can be reaching out to you, giving you some piece of information. You could find the name of a book somewhere, someone recommends you to read something, and you can't help but continue reading. Let me take a closer look at these two cards because it's interesting. Over here, this is like reaching halfway. I think after you finish this book, or some information that you're finding, after you reach halfway itself, you can start applying it. And this applies for like going to college as well, okay? You might have like some fears about returning to college, returning to school, something like that. Perhaps you didn't enjoy it the first time and you're like nervous about attempting it again, but you're letting go or like sacrificing that fear in favor of further expansion and growth, okay? So that can also be a thing. But this is saying that even if you've not completed your school completely, you can still start applying that information and it will start being monetized for you in some way if that's something you're interested in. And the Hierophant then says, as you keep going through the college or the school, the course, you will gain even more mastery, and by the time you are done, you are in a place of being a teacher or a guide yourself, okay? So that could be resonating for some of you. Very interesting. I've not gotten these two cards together, so very interesting stuff. Okay, now by the way, for love life and all of that, I told you there's a lot of healing and there is a chance of finding someone new, so give them a fair shot. But ultimately, I mean, do what resonates with you, of course. If you're not feeling ready yet, there's no need to rush yourself, all right? Okay, so let's see what else we get for Capricorns, please, for this May Scorpio eclipse. What else can we know about this? We have Venus in Libra in the 10th house. Wow, nice. I love it. This is forming new network and connections, expanding in the world, being known for your creative spirit, the relationships that you form could be very, very beneficial for your long term as well. There's some sort of prominence and recognition you're getting in general, regardless of your creative endeavor or not. The way that you deal with things is very commendable. It's very approachable as well. I think you will see that more people are asking you questions, and that automatically puts you in that guide position, and also helping other people out heals your wounds as well, if there are any. Or this can talk about helping others with their issues. Venus is resonating with the Empress energy, and it rules Libra as well as Taurus. So absolutely a lot of romantic and also financial blessings coming in, a sense of peace that is coming through as well. All right. So that's what I have for you, Capricorns. Thank you so much for being here. I really hope the reading resonates and that it helps you out. Make sure to check your solar eclipse reading. It's already posted. If you want a personal reading, you can reach me via Etsy. The link is in the description box and the comment below. I will see you some other time. Until then, take care. Bye.